Our next to last award is the biggest miss of the year. And this is as vague as it sounds. It can be a game they lost. It can be a play. It can be, I doubt anyone thought of a trade they didn't make, something, well, whatever. Your biggest miss of the 2021 season. So let me get our order here real quick. And first up is going to be Mary Kay.
I already know that I'm going to get shot down on this because I know that there are way bigger things than this, and I can already feel it that Doug's just going to crush me on this one. But my first instinct was the Jamie Gillen fumbled snap in Kansas City. That was my first instinct because in some ways, I mean, it loomed large at the end of the season, right? I mean, if you win that game, a lot of things can change. And I just think it wrecked what could have been a really cool start to the season. So that is my biggest miss.
I'm going to jump the line here because I didn't have that specific moment, but I had week 1 against the Chiefs as my biggest miss because I wonder, maybe Baker still gets hurt in week 2. Maybe things still go sideways, but you're looking at a game where you had a 2-score lead on multiple occasions. You got the football with 2:49 on the clock and a chance to go win the game, and you didn't do it. Ashley, what did you have?
Honestly, I had a few that I was struggling to pick between, but I'm going to go with intercepting Lamar Jackson 4 times and losing that first game against the Ravens. I mean, Myles Garrett got up there and said that was in his career the best shot they had against Lamar, and they couldn't do it. And then obviously the second game, Lamar didn't play the full game. I just think that was really, for me, when you started to see when we have guys in the exit meetings talking about the offense and defense were not really, something was off. They didn't feel that camaraderie. I think that was really when you started to feel those cracks. Like, the defense played so well in that game, gave the offense multiple chances. Obviously it was a division game, and the Browns finished ahead of the Ravens, but it every game counted. And I can make an argument, like, for a few games later in the season that they ended up losing, and moments in those games. But I think for me, looking back on it now, that was kind of the beginning of the end.
So my biggest miss of the year is Baker's pass to Anthony Schwartz in week 2. Was it second quarter that led to the pick? You could say the route was the biggest miss. You could say the throw was the biggest miss, but it led to the tackle attempt, which led to the injury, which led to everything that happened after it. So that's my biggest miss. I think everything bad about this season can be tied back to that moment.
Who had that play as the defining moment?
I did. I mean, based on basically what Scott said, like, so many problems can be tied back to that play that, for me, I thought of these two superlatives, like, defining was more definitive, and that interception / Baker's tackle attempt there fit this more for me because of how much either definitely ties back to it or possibly ties back to it in terms of the passing game being broken this year and what the implications of that were.
This was not the one I put, but I think I was trying to be a little too cute, I guess, and come up with something else. But I think I think that play, I feel like that play needs to win one of these two categories.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I like it better for Scott's now. I like it better. The more that I've thought about it, he's right. Baker sticking that arm out and trying to make a tackle in that moment, that I'm siding with Scott for that being the biggest regret, biggest miss.
And it was a miss. It was by either Baker or Schwartz. It was a miss.
Mm-hmm.
I
like
do
it better for that.
I mean, obviously it's like, it's the moment when everything changed. It's hard with some of this stuff of, like, did you know it in the moment? Did you only know it looking back? I think the 4th pick against the Packers, that despite all the stuff that happened, they're on the road on Christmas against the team that is like the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Baker's thrown 3 picks, but here they are with a chance to win this game with, like, the whole nation watching. And that the play is still, is it like, it should have been a penalty. I think most people agree it should have been holding on the defense or pass interference, but is there some Baker culpability in that? Is it all the holding and that it's so angst ridden. And here you were like, would you have made the kick anyway? And what's the strategy there of like, Kevin doesn't believe in the kicker because McLaughlin's out and the backup guy, all this stuff. But the bottom line was on Christmas Day, you had a chance to beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field. And the fourth pick, to me, I think Browns fans are going to remember that play for a long time, especially depending how Baker Mayfield's career goes from here as a Brown, right? That, man, that felt like despite all this stuff, it's right there in a huge moment and it didn't happen. So I think I can't disagree with what Scott's saying, but I also think like that should be something too.
So I had that as my one giant like 3.5 hour moment. I went with Baker throwing 4 picks against Green Bay because I felt like that was sort of, I felt like things were wonky going back, but I just felt like that was sort of the moment when it's like, whoa, this might really be over. Not like the season, like this might really be over with Baker.
I might have to scream my most defining moment of the season.
Go ahead.
Do you mind? I have to
Go for
yell
it.
this one.
Well, let me
Yeah.
turn my volume down.
The
Hold
whole
on.
second half of this podcast is just Mary Kay yelling.
The moment that Odell is always open hits the Instagram of Odell Beckham Sr. Odell is always open video. In my mind, the defining moment of this season. After that's over, you have a split between your defense and your offense. After Odell leaves, Baker Mayfield is rattled in my mind and never recovered from that blow. LeBron James comes out and joins the Save Odell, Free Odell campaign, which further hurts the confidence of your quarterback.
That was my defining moment as well. Just I wrote down the OBJ fiasco because you got internal discord. You have the issues around Baker being laid out. You have Odell's never-ending storyline and the offensive issues as a whole, which are the biggest reason why this team struggled this season.
Mhm.
It was all laid out that week.